Well, I mean, the first thing is work ethic, right? Retail is fast, and if you don't work hard, if you don't have that work ethic, you'll fail. And I had to learn that, right? So I remember, that's when I started getting up at 5 in the morning, right? I used to be at work at 6 in the morning before everybody else got there because I wanted to plan my day. And that's one of the things that really transferred into my later opportunities that I had is just really being organized, right? And thankfully, Target was really big on leadership, and I had some really great mentors. My first boss was amazing, right? And I remember him giving me my first planner. It was a Franklin Covey planner. He
Yeah.
taught me how to use it. And that is, to me, to this day, the Bible, right? I start my day and I plan my week and my months with that. So I started at 21 years old with that mentality of make sure you got a plan, right? And then you start looking at quarterly plans. So I was really good at planning because I had some really great mentors. Leadership, you had to lead teams. At the height, I ran a store with 400 plus employees. So I had to make sure that I learned how to lead through the levels, right? I had to inspire as a leader. I had to hold people accountable. I had to hold myself accountable. So many great skills learned in that corporate environment, right? Where I was able to transfer that into the real estate and mortgage industry and into other businesses that I've started since then.
Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop. Welcome back, everybody, to the Small Business Safari. We are ready to rock and roll. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take this time just to flush it out, clear that head trash. I've been training my sales guys, if you can't tell. Clear that head trash. Get ready. Let's try to learn something, try to have some fun, because we're going to rock this episode. This is going to be a good one.
I'm excited.
Yeah?
Last time we saw him, he was in a limo.
So last time we saw Eric Estevez.
Yeah.
Because he is Emilio Estevez. More popular cousin. We had Eric the Lender, as he goes by on his social media handles. He said, "Hey guys, I can't do it. I'm in my limo heading down to New York City because, I'm sponsoring just 300 real estate agents, so they got to see my smiling face at the sponsor." We're like, "Well, dude, that's making money. You don't have time for us. You got to go do that stuff."
Yeah, that was kind of a power move.
It was nice.
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked it.
I wasn't even offended by it. It was pretty awesome. Yeah.
So who are we talking about? I'll just go ahead and introduce him real quick. I love the part is, if we were talking right before we went on, is that he went to the U, that's Miami,
right,
to all of us, but then ended up outside of New York City, did the Fortune, he calls it Fortune 50. I don't even know if I was in Fortune 100 or 200. I don't even know, but we were all doing the corporate gig. He did it for 14 years. He steps out. He wrote a children's book. Can't wait to hear about that. There you go. Another author, baby.
Yeah.
And then tried to stand at entrepreneurship, and then found his niche in doing real estate, and then getting into the mortgage lending business, where he has rocked the hell out of this stuff, man. Doing $100 million in sales. Can't wait to hear his journey. This is going to be a great episode for you to figure out if you're stuck in that corporate world in that zoo. Is it possible to get out there and run through that jungle and make it happen? We're about to find out.
Can't wait.
Let's do it. Eric, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're the man. You're on it. All right, so I got to go back to the U. When were you there?
So I was just going back. I was born and raised in Jersey City, which is right across from Manhattan. I used to drive and watch the Twin Towers pre-2001 every day, right? Going to school. But I went to University of Miami in '99, and I actually went to school with the 2001 national champs. They should have been 2002 national champs, but they got robbed by Ohio State. Maurice Clarett. I think that game was rigged. But we should have had we should have won two years in a row. I went with school with Frank Gore and Jeremy Shockey and Willis McGahee. So a lot of powerhouse people during my time there.
That's awesome, and I love that you just called out rigging the games, because I called it out a couple episodes ago, or I guess a number of episodes ago, when I was out in Vegas, and I lost on the spread because somebody had to kick a field goal at the end of the game, and I That's been the most popular hit thing off our podcast since we started. Is
Really?
me saying that that Vegas and the NFL are in cahoots. So now you got your hot take going. I like it. All right. So you grew up in New York, but you went to Miami, but then you decided to go back. All right. But how did you do all that?
Yeah. So I was studying in the University of Miami. I got my degree in 3 years, but I got a fellowship at Morgan Stanley in Wall Street, and I had to stay an extra semester just so I can qualify for that fellowship. But it was a great time. I actually lived in New York City, stayed in the NYU dorms. That's where I met my wife, right, of now 23 years. So I was back in New York, met my wife here, and on the way back to college, wound up having she wound up being pregnant, and I was 21 years old at December, getting my diploma, and my wife was expecting, and we had our baby, Angelise, who's now just turned 20. At 21 years old. So I had to figure out life quickly, right? So I thought I was going to work on Wall Street. I did it for a summer, loved it. Didn't have time to look for a job. I needed a job as soon as I graduated college in December. And I got offered jobs with the CIA, finance and banking and finance department, and some financial firms. And I decided to go work for Target stores as a manager. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy. But I really had
we're looking at you right now.
Yeah, I got my eyes are bugging out because I saw that you worked for Target. That's what I like to call it. Target. But you went to work as a store manager, not like in their Minneapolis.
Well, I started. You don't start off as a store manager, right? I remember starting off making $35,000 a year as an assistant manager, but I saw the growth that was happening, and I wanted to ride that wave. And it only took me a couple years to go from an assistant manager to a store manager, earning six figures, and just continue growing through that path. And at that time, Target was a Fortune 50 company, and I was there for about 11 years. Transferred back to New Jersey because our family is from New Jersey. My wife's family is from New Jersey. We wanted to make sure that we raise our kids around our family. So that's why we left Miami after, we came back in 2008. So I was there for about 9 years total. I worked my way up, and I was running the biggest store in New Jersey at the time, and I would have to, in order for me to move up, I would have to uproot my family and move elsewhere. I just didn't want to do that, right? So at that point, I moved on to Walmart stores, which at that time was one of the top, companies in the world. This is before Apple and Google started kind of coming up the ranks, right? I joined Walmart, and same thing. I kind of worked my way up, and I was utilizing my bonuses and my stock options, my RSUs, and that's when I started diversifying my money and figuring things out, seeing what I wanted to do. I figured out that I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
All right, I gotta back up. So all these opportunities you had the finance department for the CIA. Did that not pique your interest?
Well, you know what it was? Same pay as Target, $35,000 a year. This was back in 2001. I had to move to Langley, Virginia, which I'm like, wow, I don't even know. I'm in Miami. At least I know some people here. Had to move to Langley, Virginia. And it was a 6-month background check. And I decided not to go that route.
Hey, we're just going to leave that right there. Hey, it's a 6-month background check. And I decided not to do that. We're not going to ask why. Don't ask questions.
Okay.
All right. Let's not.
Let me clarify.
You don't have to. No, you don't have to. We don't want to die. No, go ahead.
Well, they did a 6-month background check prior to the job offer, so everything panned out well, right? I had to take a psychological test and everything. They talked to my neighbors back in New Jersey. I decided not to go that route. I really felt in my gut that, I would learn what I needed to learn in Target and leadership and grow as fast as I needed to. And I think that, it panned out. It just eventually, it was just, I've always been a workhorse. I've always worked hard. And then when I started diversifying and trying other things, I felt like, you know what, I can make money a little easier elsewhere.
I love that. It reminds me when I was coming out of school, in 92, things weren't so good for engineers, and I was coming out of school. So they were all coming after us, and they wanted us to be nuclear submarine engineers. They said
Wow.
you have to submit to a background check. I'm like, oh, I'm out. Oh, thank you for the information center. Gotta go. I can't explain anymore. I'm just gonna leave it right there, Eric. No, I'm just kidding. So you go to work at Target. Talk
Yeah.
about some of the skills you had to develop, because one of the things I talk about in my business is I started a retail business when I left corporate America. I'd never been in retail a day in my life. So you were clearly in the retail business.
Yeah.
What skills, things did you learn there that you thought you could you translated into being an entrepreneur?
Well, I mean, the first thing is work ethic, right? Retail is fast, and if you don't work hard, if you don't have that work ethic, you'll fail. And I had to learn that, right? So I remember, that's when I started getting up at 5 in the morning, right? I used to be at work at 6 in the morning before everybody else got there because I wanted to plan my day. And that's one of the things that really transferred into my later opportunities that I had is just really being organized, right? And thankfully, Target was really big on leadership, and I had some really great mentors. My first boss was amazing, right? And I remember him giving me my first planner. It was a Franklin Covey planner. He
Yeah.
taught me how to use it. And that is, to me, to this day, the Bible, right? I start my day and I plan my week and my months with that. So I started at 21 years old with that mentality of make sure you got a plan, right? And then you start looking at quarterly plans. So I was really good at planning because I had some really great mentors. Leadership, you had to lead teams. At the height, I ran a store with 400 plus employees. So I had to make sure that I learned how to lead through the levels, right? I had to inspire as a leader. I had to hold people accountable. I had to hold myself accountable. So many great skills learned in that corporate environment, right? Where I was able to transfer that into the real estate and mortgage industry and into other businesses that I've started since then.
I would bet that one of the things that he learned that a lot of people need to know when they run their own business is you're running a huge retail store that's open a lot more hours than you're there. And so you have to be comfortable letting go and training the people around you to run the thing while you're not there. And I think most small business owners just have a hard time letting go, and they have to have their fingers on everything. Chris?
What?
Yeah.
Hey, I identify with that.
So what a great place to learn how to like you said, manage through the levels, but make sure people are doing the right things and representing the brand whether you're there or not.
Do you have what it takes to start your own business? Are you tired of the 9-to-5 corporate job and ready to make that leap into entrepreneurship? You need to check out From the Zoo to the Wild, the book by successful entrepreneur Chris Lalvani. This book is a unique perspective on the journey into the wild world of home services and delivering excellence in service while working in customers' homes. Lalvani shares his path to success in this industry, including proven customer relationship strategies, award-winning customer experience processes, and a unique approach to training a team of service technicians to perform at the highest levels. Whether you're a small business trying to scale or a franchise operation, From the Zoo to the Wild will give you the mindset, habits, leadership style, and customer-oriented processes to succeed as a small business owner in the world of home services. So if you're ready to take control of your future, get a copy of From the Zoo to the Wild today, available on Amazon.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's so important in anything that you do, right? Because in the beginning, you go through those levels. There's a learning curve, right? Before you want to do everything on your own, and you want to just pump in the hours, but there's only a certain amount of hours in a day, and you have a wife and a family that you have to take care of, right? And spend time with, and you got to focus on your health. There's so many different things. So you realize that is the people, right, that matter. And if you hire the right people and you recognize these individuals and you're giving them promotional opportunities, you give them autonomy, right, they're gonna do the right thing. I remember there was a point. I think one of my most proudest moments as a leader was when I was able to go on vacation, and I remember having a big, next day corporate visit, and they passed with flying colors. And that was probably the most proud moment that I had, because my team was able to do what they needed to do, right? And that's when I said to myself, wow, I think I made it as a manager, right? And it took years to get there, but you have to lead through the teams, and you have to be able to trust. And I've been able to do the same thing in the mortgage business as well.
I love it. Awesome. All right, but the biggest question I've got is, did you ever tackle a shoplifter before they were coming out the door? I mean, come on, give me one of those stories. Come on.
I did.
Yes,
I did.
I knew it. See, great
but
question.
You know what? I should have gotten fired for it, because I didn't know any better, right? This was early on in my career, and I'm a manager, and I'm not, we have asset protection specialists and all that, right? And there was someone shoplifting, and they were struggling with someone, and the guy kind of gave me a nod like he needed help. So I just went right in, and I played football in high school, so I took the person out. And we apprehended the person, and the next day my store manager comes to me and goes, "Eric, don't ever do that again, because you'll get fired."
Yeah, but
so they were lenient with me at that point, so thank goodness.
I love that. All right, see, there you go. Something you probably never shared on another podcast. Right. That's why you listen to this thing, because if you aren't willing to tackle a shoplifter, you're not ready to get into business for yourself. But all right, so you take off, you leave Target. I think for me, you went down level to Walmart, but I get a big company. But I personally, if I have a tough time shopping at Walmart, I like to shop at Target.
You're an elitist.
I am too, though. So you do the Walmart thing. Yeah. And so when did the itch to start your own business start?
What? Hang on. What? Big culture difference, don't you think, between the two?
Well, let's back up. Yeah.
Huge culture difference.
Well,
you know what?
Let's dynamic that one.
I'm a Target guy too, right? That's who made me.
Bougie.
I shop at Target too. My wife. You know what? But
latte.
Each of them have their own strengths, right? Huge culture difference. But Walmart's such a monster, right? When it comes to it, like when they talk about sales and I mean, everything was about, putting this product next to this product to drive that. Like it was really like driving the dollar. Like it was every penny counted, right? In Walmart. And they try to fit everything into the store, right? Everything in the middle of and Target's always this clean atmosphere. So big culture difference. But I learned some great things at Walmart too. But yeah, Target is near and dear to my heart. They made me, right? They developed me into the leader that I am today.
I love that. That's funny. So I worked in consulting. I worked at Accenture for a long time. I was in banking and finance, but I knew guys who had to go on the Walmart assignment. So here's the deal. So if you're a consultant, right? You're expecting I get to fly out first class. I get to fly business class. I get to stay in my own hotel. That's what we do, right? No, not at Walmart, my friends. You go economy, you go coach, and if there's so many hours, you have to drive. And when you stay at a hotel, you have to stay 2 to a room.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I was like, oh boy. But you know what? That's again back to that culture and following Sam Walton and what they've done. Yeah. Totally different. Yeah. And so I'm glad you brought that up, because you're right, completely different culture sets, right?
Yeah.
They both win.
Well, and they've got do they still do the Walmart cheer and everything before meeting? And
they do, yeah. They have
so talk about the difference between a meeting at Walmart versus a meeting at Target with leadership.
You know what? I think you mentioned Sam Walton. I mean, he was the greatest, right? He was a rah. He used to get up on tables and speak. So I think that
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
He would gather at, like, I remember stories of people that knew him before he passed in my Walmart days, and talked about when he would walk into the stores and the whole entire store will come in and he will give a speech. He was just a fascinating individual. I read his book when I worked for Walmart. But you know what? I think it's in the individual, and that's the cool thing about it. You have a overall company culture, right? But there's a store that, even though there's a general feel, when you're in a Walmart store and when you're in a Target store, but when you're in a winning Target store versus maybe a failing Target store,
right?
Vice versa. And honestly, it's the leader and the team, right? And I was towards the latter part of my years, I was known as a culture fixer, right? I would kind of go in, problem stores, I would analyze it for 30 days. What are the issues? And it was usually people, right? It was usually, who are the cancers, right? Are people at the right place, are they the right person, right place at the right time? And I learned how to place people, right? And I learned how to really try to maximize the output of people. I want to share something. Just last week, we talked about Target. It really warmed my heart. I went to, do a quick little drive-by. I dropped my daughter off at a rehearsal for in a studio. I drove 40 minutes to another nice place that one of my realtor referral partners was throwing a birthday party. Just stopped by for like 20 minutes. And when I'm at the bar just to have a shot with the birthday girl, one of the gentlemen that I promoted in Target, Robert DiMarino, if he's hearing this, I haven't seen him in years, and I gave him the opportunity to become a store manager. So he was an assistant manager to me. And now the gentleman is a district manager. He has a house overseeing, right? He just bought a house overseeing the New York City skyline. And he came up to me and he said to me, Eric, I knew it was you. Just wanted to thank you. You gave me the opportunity. I modeled my leadership after you. And this kid is doing so well for himself. And that really warmed my heart. And that's really what drove me when I led teams in Target and in Walmart.
All right, big guy who tackled somebody. Tell me you didn't tear up a little bit. Did you?
I did.
I would, because I would. Oh, come on, man.
I did.
I know. That's awesome. That's leaving a legacy right there. That is, what are we here for? We talked about this before. That's called leaving a legacy, right? When somebody comes up to you unsolicited and says, hey, I just want to let you know, you gave me my first break, or you did this, or you transitioned and gave me this leadership quality. And now let me tell you what I'm doing. And they're not bragging to you. They're just telling you. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, I'm tearing up for him right now.
Yeah. He told me that he's been the district manager of the year for the last 6 years running.
That's awesome.
He's achieved the higher level that I did when I left the Target, and he's doing amazingly well. So you just reminded me I have to hit him up and schedule a lunch with him.
Yeah, you do. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's just incredible. All right. So you go to Walmart and then you start getting that itch. I got to go do something on my own. And it just keeps itching at you, right? It's just kind of clawing at you. So what was your first idea? What was the first thing you started to work on and go, okay, I think I got this. I'm still making my money. I got to take care of my family, because now you didn't have just one. Probably you had a couple, right? Yeah. You're living a lifestyle. Mama said, hey, this is my lifestyle. You're like, no, I got another idea. Watch this. So tell me how that worked.
Yeah, so funny you say that. So my wife, we had a dog. His name is Chacho, right? just passed away last year, 15 years old.
Sorry that I laughed. But I love Chacho. I love that name.
Chacho, yeah. And you know what? We got it. He was a Miami dog, right? And my wife, right, who was with this dog day in and day out, right? That's her baby. Always said, I would like to write a book about Chacho and maybe center our family around it and almost do like a Clifford the Big Red Dog series, right, around Chacho, right?
I love that series.
She's talked about it. And then I said to myself, let's do it. Like, let's just research it, right? Let's just freaking publish a book. And we started looking into it, and we got self-published, and that was my first venture, and it was more like a passion project because we didn't.
What was the name of the book?
It's called According to Chacho.
According to Chacho.
Yeah, according to Chacho.
Go find that book, everybody, because as a fellow published author,
I'll just tune out for now.
Yes, yeah, and guess what, Eric? You and I share a common bond. We are authors, and Alan's not in that club. So,
and he likes to point it out.
Yeah, it's very cool. And literally, mine has been titled a children's book. No, because I have lots of coloring in there. No, I don't. But I love that. So, all right, go out and check that. That is, say it one more time.
According to Chacho.
According to Chacho. Yep.
All right, let's go in the show notes. Love that.
Yeah, and we actually have the second book written, ready to go, right? As well. We haven't published it yet, but we just learned the self-publishing. We published it through Oscar's Publishing. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I didn't make any money off of this book, but it was just.
Oh, wait a minute. You too? No, I mean, no, I'm a best-selling author. I make $1 million. No, actually, my last royalty. Literally, just saw my last royalty check was this morning, $14.62. Let's go. Hey, get out there and buy that freaking book, everybody. From the Zoo to the Wild. It's, and of course, According to Chacho. Is it available on Amazon?
It is available on Amazon, yes.
Let's go. Now let's push that shit out there.
I'm going on Amazon. Hold up. Can you repeat the title? Because I'm going to buy your book too.
You need to, yes. Because I need another $2.32. It's called From the Zoo to the Wild.
Great.
Your guide to entrepreneurial freedom and wealth. And guess what, Alan? We're actually starting to dynamically put in commercials for my book. So if you're not listening to this now and you want to fast forward through my commercials like I do through SmartList, take that, Bateman.
Do you have 10 minutes of commercials like SmartList?
No, I do not, because guess why? We're not sponsored as much as them. Although, as I've told you, we got some people in the waiting wings ready to go.
So next time somebody is obnoxious and said, I'm an author, then I should just respond with, are you making any money?
Yeah. And the
Just
answer
shut
is
them down.
yeah, never.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
no,
I got it
I'm
now.
still paying off that initial investment. All right. So I love it. All right, keep going.
Yeah, so I mean, we didn't make any money, but we learned about it, and we saw how happy it made us feel. Actually, I read it every year to kids. Like we had Read Across America in March, and I read it to a gym full of kids. A friend of mine is a principal at an elementary school. So we still bring that book out and read it. We love it.
All right, so
we
that was a
wanna
side
continue
hustle, though.
pushing.
That was
Yeah,
you. So your wife was bought into this stuff. Whoa.
Well,
I'm not
she
used to
was.
that one.
It was her idea, right? And we did it, and it was just the first step of doing something other than just working 9 to 5, right?
Can I introduce her to somebody else I may know that maybe
Yeah, Chris needs some tips on how to get your wife
because
on
you
board
said 23 years.
for any entrepreneurial idea.
I'm at 26, and she's still not bought into me doing this, and I've been doing this for 15 years.
She will. Don't worry, she'll come around.
Yeah. I like his style, baby.
I just love the look on your face. Like, I don't even know what my wife on board means.
I don't even. It's totally foreign. I love that. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that you guys are a cohesive team. Love to hear that. Don't worry about it. I got therapy for that.
That's
so,
right.
All right. So, Chacho, good idea.
So we did Chacho. That was the first thing, and I was like, okay, this is good. And then I said, okay, well, what else can I do? And I started flipping some mobile apps, right? So basically, what it is was I purchased skins of applications, and then I was able to hire a developer for cheap. Basically repurpose it, try to get some downloads, and then just sell it back in the marketplace. Didn't make too much money on that too, right? But it was something that I said, okay, I'm learning the entrepreneur. I'm learning how to navigate these things. And then after that,
all while you had a full-time job making money, right?
All while I had a full-time
that's the
job.
gold nugget, right? If you, I'm not a big fan, and you'll see this in my book. When I told somebody I was thinking about just doing the handyman thing on the side, he goes, "You're either all the way in or you're all the way out. Because if you're going to put yourself halfway in, you're all the way out. You're done." But I think in this case, right, you get to learn lessons while you're still providing for your family, taking care of business, but you're learning, and
he's smarter than you.
Of course, and that's why I have him on, because I'm learning. I'm definitely learning from Eric the Lender. Yes, The World According to Chacho. That's the next book. I think I've already figured it out. No, I'm kidding. All right, keep going.
Got pictures, I'm sure.
That's the only books I read.
It has pictures, and in the end, it has a version of myself when I had hair. So that's the last picture.
Oh,
Actually, you know what? Thank you, brother. He is actually in the club with us. Because we keep getting people on who have more hair than us. They're way younger than us. Now you're way younger than us too.
He's younger and better looking, but he doesn't have any hair.
And more eloquent.
Man.
I tell you what, man, I'm already attracted to this guy. I don't mean like that. I mean, like, you just want to follow that dude, right? I mean, this guy's awesome.
No, you can see that, and I know we want to talk about Eric the Lender, but I keep going back in my mind to your corporate experience, and you're talking about leadership, and there's most people who are in leadership positions call themselves leaders. They're not. Being a leader implies that people are following, or they're doing what they're supposed to do when you're not there. And you've got just a huge presence, and you couple that with great training, great ethics, great culture. I mean, it's no wonder you were the fixer.
Yeah, totally agreed. Doubling down. And here we are. We're praising him, but we're supposed to be interviewing him, right? Screw that.
Okay.
It's our podcast. We can do whatever we want.
A little bit.
I appreciate the kind words, fellas. I do.
It's great.
It's obvious.
All right. So you're doing the side hustles. You're learning. You're iterating. You're figuring it out.
Did you just learn the word iterate?
You know what? I had to. I googled that one.
Did you?
I went.
You've used it too many times already.
What's a 10-cent? What's a 10-cent SAT word that I can use over and over and over?
Just once in a while, man.
I can't.
Just drop it once in a while.
Just once in a while.
Yeah.
All right. So okay. I'm done with the big words. All right, back to Eric.
Yeah.
Can we?
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right. So Eric, when was that big idea? The one you went, okay, this is it. I'm leaving. I'm going to take off. This is the one.
It was real estate, So, when I started getting some, stock options or the RSUs vested, I remember my first one from Target that I brought over to Walmart. I went ahead and I invested with a friend of mine who was flipping houses, 3-4 houses a month in Long Island. And I was intrigued about what he was doing. And I just took him out to lunch and dinner and just picked his brain visited the properties, and to a point where I wanted to invest. So I remember taking my first, $25,000 RSU, and I gave it to my friend who's also, his name is Eric, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to give you a 15% rate of return when we sell this house." But the thing is that, and my wife was extremely worried. She was like, "You're going to just hand this guy a check for $25,000?" But to me, that was another college experience, right? I wound up making back my 15% rate of return, which isn't a life-changing thing, but more so than that, it was the education. I was an investor. I was able to go and walk the house, and how do you do this? How to talk to me about, sheriff sales, and how do you buy the properties, and how many clues do you have? And I was really intrigued, and I got my money back, and I reinvested it with him 3 times, right? And every time it was a bigger sum, right? And I kept on learning, and then I was able to, after the third time of passively investing, right? I wasn't the one, with the deals. It was just me, giving this guy money, getting a promissory note, getting money in return, and learning. Then I went in and I said, you know what? I think we're ready to flip a house. And I brought in a couple partners, and this was a mistake that we did, right? But this was the big one. I was investing in middle class homes, $300,000 to $400,000 properties, which the average American was able to afford. And then we went big. We went with the big house, right, in a nice neighborhood. We extended the foundation, added a level. We were completely right out of our comfort zone, and we added hundreds of thousands of dollars in renovations to this thing. And in the end, guess what? We didn't make any money either, right? Because one of the lessons was I was learning, right, one model, and then
wait a minute. Did you just say you don't make money every time you flip a house? That's not what HGTV says. Oh my God! Newsflash.
Yeah, forget what you heard.
Right, exactly. Right, because they're listening to you, because we're going to get to the success story in a minute. But you just said it. People go, "Oh man, I'll flip a house." Or are you? Okay, yeah. Good luck.
Oh, and I'll do the renovation in a weekend.
I've been doing remodeling for 15 years, and I can tell you how many times has somebody gone in and go, "Man, I missed that. The foundation was completely unsettled, and I had to redo it." Oh yeah, I didn't have that 25,000. Oh, you didn't?
Yeah.
How'd you do? I lost 5 hard cash. I'm like, yeah. Welcome to flipping houses. That's why I don't do it. All right, but you did it. You made it through it. But that's a great lesson, that you just don't do it. You got to learn, listen. You actually walk the property, even as a passive investor, and you're like, dude, now I got to figure it out. Now I can do this. And then you couldn't. How about
So why did you go so big on the first one?
Mistake, right? I think
excited, or
I was excited. We thought we got a good deal. We saw the numbers, and we went for the home run, right? Instead of those singles, I was just hitting singles with my friend, and he's all about hitting singles, right? Small house, like short shots, make a little bit of money in each flip. And we saw these numbers. Our eyes got all big, and I brought in a family friend, a family member of mine that wanted to invest, and we just went too big. And you know what? That's a big mistake. Stay in your lane. I should have stayed in my lane, and I could have taken some of that money and reinvested it elsewhere. I could have flipped two or three more houses instead of this big mega house that we have. Right. And, and then we wound up having to sell it. We were at a point where if we kept on holding the property, we were losing money. Yeah. So we wound up selling this property, selling it for $780,000, and today is worth $1.1 million.
Maybe you should have held it.
Yeah. So another great question. Was your family member's name Uncle Tony?
No, it wasn't Uncle Tony.
Okay. That doesn't count as a great question, but nice try, Chris.
I did.
So what did your friend, I'm assuming your friend he was going for singles, and he was doing multiple ones at the same time. And every once in a while he knew one was going to go upside down, but he was sort of spreading out his risk. And that was a lesson that you didn't pick up just because you weren't that involved, right?
Correct.
Oh, you're just trying to show off how smart you are.
But you're absolutely right.
He's right.
I think you got to start small.
Eric, don't do that. It just feeds his ego. He's right. And that's a great point. Actually, oh my God. Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, Alan, you're right, because that's what risk is about, right? When you're starting your business, you got to manage your risks for your reward. And we talked about that as we start a business. Yeah, you see that big shiny object, you go for it. You're like, yeah, baby, 780. Look at me. I mean, I remember doing my first biggest remodeling job we ever did was $80,000. You know how much it cost me? 84.
Right.
I lost $4,000. The biggest remodeling job we'd ever done. And I was like, that's not going to happen again. Yeah, of course it has. But it's
every entrepreneur, though, and I think this is a point to be made, is that they get excited and they think big, and they should, but they spend big before they should.
All right. So we're about to talk about the thing that really hit big, because we need to do that before we run out of time. But that's the thing, is that we all have this huge optimism about us that we're like, yeah, but look how good I was. Right. In Eric's case, I was great at Target. I was the culture leader. I was the fixer. I went to Walmart. I learned it all. And so then I wrote I can do this. And we all do it. We all have that. The ego starts to build up, and you're like, you know what? I hear you, but you know what? I also listen to those self-help books, and I'm going to be way better than everybody else. I'm going to kick ass, baby.
Well, and his buddy's making great money on $300,000 or $400,000 houses. How much more can I make on a $700,000 house?
So talk about the big one. We got to get into that, because there's a lot to talk about this one, because this one has hit. You've done a great job. So talk about Nations Lending. Talk about how you got into it, and still, how did you grow this thing to 100 million? That's a big one.
Well, this house, this
limo, Manhattan. Let's go. That's all I have to do is I start at Target and Target, and then boom, I'm in a limo.
Yeah. No, not at all. Well, it was this big flip, right? There was this big flip that caused me to realize, because I thought what I did was I was in the middle of doing this property, and I remember, cashing out on my 401k, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just be a flipper, right? And that tax implication for the 401k caught up and kicked me in the rear, right? But then right. Yeah. So I was learning all those things, and I thought I was gonna flip homes, right? And then I got to a point where I was thinking about this house, and I was thinking about the opportunity, and I was not giving it 100% at my full-time job, right? I was always thinking about real estate and what am I going to do, and I was excited about that to a point where I wasn't fully myself, right? And I remember one day my boss, who had a great relationship, came in, and I didn't even have this conversation with my wife, and I remember her name is Deborah, and I go, Deb, I think I'm going to give my notice. How much time do you need? I'll stay as much as you need, as long as you need. I want to try my hand at something else. And she goes, give me 30 days. I'm like, done. Right. So that way she can find somebody else or whatever. So I gave my 30-day notice, because I had such a great relationship with everyone. And that day I came back to my wife and I said, I can't do this anymore. I think I have another calling. I want to finish this house, and I think I'm going to flip houses. Right. And I thought I was going to be flipping houses and making money in real estate. That didn't pan out, right? Because this project, I left my job at Walmart, cashed out my 401k. I was okay for a little while, but the money wasn't coming in, and then I was spending more and more money on this property. And then I said to myself, crap, right? What am I going to do now, right? I'm very lucky that my father is in the lending. My father's a loan originator, right? But my father was a one-man team, right? He kind of, he always got by. In 2008, he started his hand at a brokerage in Florida, and we all know what happened down in 2008. So he's just slowly rebuilding his business in Jersey. And then I said to him, I'm like, listen, I need to earn, and I go, why don't I just get my license and let's work together and let's build something? And he was like, I remember this was on a Thursday. And he was like, you sure you want to do this? And I'm like, I don't know, but I need to do something. And I'm like, you know the business. You got to teach me the business. I know how to build teams. I build the teams. This was on a Thursday. That Monday, I took my test, and the following Wednesday, that Monday, I took my course, and the following Wednesday, I took my test. So this was all within 2 weeks that I decided to get into the lending world. Now, here's the thing. I failed my first test. You had to get a 75 to pass, and I got a 74, and I remember it was August 11th. I had to wait 30 days, right, to do it again. That
sucks. I didn't know that one. I had to wait 30 days. The failures in the first one, but wow.
Yep. So I had to wait 30 days. I remember it was a September 11th. Obviously, that's a significant date, especially in New York, New Jersey.
Yeah.
When I passed my test and I hit the ground, like while I was taking that, I was out meeting people, networking events, and I remember bringing in loans. I wasn't even licensed yet. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this on this podcast. I was telling people, and I was putting in on my father's names, and I was like, okay, I think I can do this. I think I can go out and meet people. And And that's what it was, man. I started, and my first year in sales, and I didn't know a thing, right? I said to myself, okay, I just want to make six figures because I've been making six figures since I was 24 years old. I just want to break $100,000 in sales my first year. And I did it, right? And it was all math. It was all math. And then I said to myself, okay, I want to triple that next year. And I did that, right? So right, it was just all like a formula. What are your goals and how many people you need to talk to? And it was all mathematics. Now also, right? Me knowing that I've always been mentored in Target and Walmart, and I've done the same, I knew that I needed the same in the mortgage industry. Now I had my father who knew how to put a loan together, but I needed to make sure that I got a mentor to help me build the business to where I knew I can build it. And I've paid for coaching since day one, right? I wasn't earning anything in this world, but I knew I had to have somebody to guide me, and they helped me. They gave me the formulas, and I was out there. And then I met somebody else in the company that we started with, and
Quick
we
question:
joined forces.
How'd you go about finding a coach? I mean, you
let's talk
obviously
about
had a
that.
lot of major training, and so how do you
Yeah.
find somebody who's qualified to coach you?
Yeah, well, first, once you go into I worked for a small correspondent lender, and I said, hey, I just need you to help me pay for my coaching because they believed in me. It was $400 a month. It was called the Core 4. Great mortgage training program across the country. And I learned some basics there. I did that for a year. But obviously, after a year, you meet other people, you meet other coaches. And I've been in the same coaching program for the last several years. And now they utilize me to coach. Yesterday, I did a training where there were 30 mortgage originators from across the country where I'm doing a training. So I'm using those same platforms to coach other people as well. And eventually, that's going to be part of my repertoire. I want to be able to help and coach originators and also use that as a tactic to recruit and open more branches across the country, because I see myself as a business developer, not necessarily as a loan originator, right?
Right.
But after a few years, I joined forces, and we were able to do $100 million in sales, and I made the most money that I've ever made in my life. Right, times are tough right now. Right, the mortgage industry is getting hit.
I was curious.
All right, so let's talk about that for a minute. So here we are,
Yeah.
right? Timestamp. I hate that on podcast, but we're gonna timestamp it because it's 2023, and here we go. Right, interest rates are high. People aren't moving as much. Very, very helpful.
They're not historically high. They're just way higher than they were a year ago.
All right, so that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And so Eric, you're a lot younger than us, but well.
Don't quit looking at me.
It's funny. All right. But no, my first house, man, 6.75. I did a 7-1 buy down. And I told my wife, don't you tell your dad, because they remember times where it was 17% or land contracts. And he said, don't you ever do one of those exotic things. And I did a 7-1 buy down just to get to 6.75. And now everybody today is like, well, it's 2.5. I got a mortgage still in one house. Thank God. And it's 2.75. And you're like, no. All right. So you're struggling through this now. How did you sell through this?
Yeah. So, luckily, we don't, I never lived outside of my means. I think that's where a lot of people make a mistake, right? Especially when you come into this business, and you make all this money one year, right? It doesn't matter what you make, it's what you spend, right? Mm-hmm. So that's really what matters. So I think I was able to recoup and save some of the funds that I made in a couple of years ago. But I also learned how to diversify as well, right? So I started another business. I have a virtual assistant company that kind of grew from this mortgage industry. And I started I manage my daughter, who is a music recording artist. So I have a record company now, right? And not much money is coming in, mostly expenditures at this point. But we just
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, right, so we just so now I'm counting on that. Like I'm gonna be one, and I'm gonna manifest this. I wrote down in my vision board, I want to get my daughter a $2 million deal right by the end of this year, and that's what I'm working on. But
you're not going to be that dad, right? The one that we all hear about in the world.
The Britney Spears is that.
Yeah, that's right. The Britney Spears one.
Wait. So you did you say vision board?
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yeah, hit us up with that. Show us the vision board. You got it?
Yeah, well, I have a few things. I have this calendar behind me that kind of maps out the year, right? So it's called the Big Ass Calendar. So I write my
From Jesse Seisler.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. He's here in Atlanta.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
So I have my vision board in my computer screen. So now I have the vision board and I have these goal sets, right? And I talk about like the 10 steps of building a business. And the very first thing is that, right? You have to set goals, you have to be specific, you have to write down numbers. And I do that every year, right? So the thing is that, and I learned that again from my target days, right? Because we talk about what our projections are. We have to look at our numbers every quarter. So corporate helped me transpose that into this business. And at the beginning of this year, right, I talked about my what I want my production to be, which I've had to continue to adjust because the mortgage business just continues to not do too well. So then I'm like, okay, well, I wrote down, right, my health was my most important thing, right. This year, I'm doubling down. I'm trying to lose weight. I'm going to the gym because I've always put that, like, we talk about life being a wheel, right? And you have to make sure that every spoke of that wheel is healthy, right? Whether it's finances, your health, your marriage, your kids, right? So
That's freaking brilliant. Amen.
my
Nice.
That's nice.
my health just wasn't. I didn't focus on that, and that was one of my number one goals, and I've been hitting my goals so far to this day. And then I wanted to get my daughter a $2 million deal, right? And that's where I'm at right now. So the thing is that I'm investing, right? I had to cut back some of my expenditures in the mortgage side of things. I used to have 50 billboards in New Jersey, right, at one point.
With your face on it?
With my face on it, yeah.
Nice. You know why? Because we got to know who we're dealing with. And you know what? You guys can't see this on the podcast, but you'll see it on our YouTube shorts. Go out and check that out. You'll see his face. You know what? You want to buy from this face.
Absolutely.
And this energy that you're listening to, you want to buy from this guy. And you know what? Now we want to buy from him because we want to get his girl a deal, baby. I want to hear recording stars. Let's go.
Yeah, you have to please. And I'm going to drop her Instagram handle too at the end because we're actually dropping. We just shot her first music video. Last Sunday was her birthday, and we did a music preview for our family and friends. Well received, and we're gonna go ahead and release it on the 4th of May.
Oh, that must have been so much fun shooting that video.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, it was a blast. It was a blast. Yeah. So,
all right.
So now I'm investing in this new business where it's not going to. I'm not going to monetize right away from it, but I believe in it. And as long as we have a plan, just like I had a plan for mortgages, I know that the money is going to come. Right. So I have several businesses that I'm focusing on right now, not just mortgages.
I like that. So 2 things I want everybody to pick up on. Number 1, don't live outside your means. So we started a business and we joke about this all the time on my podcast about how many times I go on vacation. I do all this great stuff. That is 14 years in the making, bro. Right. In the beginning, don't live outside your means. Yeah. You got to make sure that's happening, but you've got to take care of yourself. I love the wheel thing that he just talked about.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about it like that, but people talk about it all the time, and it seems very trite, especially when you're first starting your business. Hey, I got to take care of your health, take care. But listen, bro, if you're not around next year or tomorrow, you can't make your business grow.
No, we had a guy on a podcast who, he had an attack or a heart attack or something right in the middle of his business.
Middle of his business. Yeah. He literally had an attack in the middle of his business. He had a car business, falls down on the ground. They had to take him to the hospital, and he wasn't around for a month.
Yeah.
And so from that, he changed his life. Don't make that happen to you. Listen, that's a true story. That's why we're doing this podcast, because number 1, it's hard to run a business, man. It's hard to make that leap, but it's so satisfying. It scratches so many itches for me. I know it does for Alan, and you can tell it's scratching that itch for Eric because of what's going on, because he's so energized, man. You can't figure out that, but we're coming to the end of the podcast. We got to start wrapping this stuff up. And I hate to do this because, man, I'm just so jacked. We got him out of his limo.
I got one more question, though.
All right, we're gonna go with one more question.
One more question,
and because he's got to hurry up and get off, because he's probably gonna go jet set and see J-Lo, or I don't know what's going on.
He's got dinner with the mayor, I'm sure. So what you talked about, because our original question was, the mortgage rates are up. It's going to be tough on this $100 million business, and you talk about how you've pivoted personally, but you're a great leader. We can tell that. What are you saying to your employees in the mortgage business?
Yeah, so a great question. I think right now it's about continuing with the activities, right? The dollar amounts aren't going to come in, but there's a lot of people that are falling through and doing other things because they have to. So my team is focused on making sure that we measure our results on the activities, not necessarily the dollar amount right now, right? So how are you prospecting? Where are you spending your time? Are you going out a couple times a week? Are you going to open houses? So those activities that we've always done, we have to continue doing them, right? So it's about consistency, because we're going to take the market share, even though the volume has dropped drastically. There's going to also be a lot of less loan originators down the road, right?
Right.
So the fact is that we're going to go ahead and take that market share. And you know what, guys? We're not too far from it. Inflation number came down at 5.6 last week, right? Mortgage interest rates follow inflation, right? So as inflation, because of these high interest rates where we're at, right, it slows the economy down. So we might see, and Barry Habib, you probably heard of him, right? MBS Highway, right? We might see mortgage rates in the fives again, right? June, July. And you know what? Once we're consistently in the fives, we talk about inventory, and that's one of the big issues. And we could talk about for a whole hour of inventory and how we got here. But this inventory is an issue, and we're at a lockout where the sellers don't want to sell. Why are they going to go from a 3% mortgage to a 7% mortgage? Doesn't make any sense. However, if we're in the fives, and you talked about the 7-1 buy down, right? If we're in the fives and you could buy down and you can get in the fours, that rate from 3 to a 4 may be a little bit easier to swallow, right? That pill. And now you're upgrading the quality of your life, because we're still equity rich. We have a lot of equity in our houses. It just doesn't make any sense because of the rates. So I think once we are settling in the fives, you start seeing some more cash out refinances, because HELOCs are getting expensive, right? Do you know that the average car note is $800 right now in the country?
Oh my
right?
God, no! I did not know that number.
The average the credit card interest rates right now are at 20% compared to 14%. So now people are going to say, you know what? It may make sense for me to do a cash out refinance so I can improve the quality of my life. So we're going to start seeing better movement, right? And I just tell my team, stay the course. We got to do what we have to do right now. Cut your expenses, right? But if you stay the course and continue with the activities, you're going to end up winning.
Nice.
Love it. He's rock on that. That's so funny, right? The $800. I know that here in Atlanta, the average rent right now is $2,000, and the average mortgage was $2,000, and now it's creeping up, and that's why people are staying in their place. But you can't say that enough, man. Live within your means. I mean, doing what I'm doing today, I could not do at 23. Well, you know what? I can become an Instagram influencer. I can become this, and you know what, old man, you're 53. I can do this shit at 23. You know what? That's the same shit I said to my dad.
So maybe on one of your next vacations, because he takes about 15 a year, you should think about living with him, Chris.
I should,
yeah,
but it's not going to happen. I can't even tell you what I just about booked.
Well, I'm sure you earn those vacations.
Yeah, no, it's been good. All right, man, we have totally enjoyed this thing, and we've got to let you take a time. Let's plug a few things, and so let's get it on the show notes. Let's get it in there. Plug what you want to plug, and then I got to ask you my famous 4 questions. Now there are 4 questions
because he let me have one.
I let him have one.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So what do you want to plug? Let's hit it.
Yeah, just follow me on Instagram, the Eric Estevez, EricEstevez, and there I have a link tree to all my other links and sites. And follow my daughter, right? Get some follows up and listen to her. She has 7 singles on Spotify or on all platforms. Angelise is Angel YSC. Mariah like Mariah Carey. Follow her and check her music out.
Check it out. Go figure it out. I actually follow Eric on Instagram, and I really enjoy his follow, because on Instagram, what catches your eye? It's not a guy like me going, you need to live within your means. You need to work hard. Nobody looks at an old white guy like me. They watch Eric and his rockin' videos, man, because they're fun. And that's what I try to do with our Instagram too. Keep it up. So let's keep doing that. The Small Business Safari, make it happen. But now I'm going to jump in to our 4 questions. Number 1, Eric, give us a book that you would recommend to everybody out there. Something that's going to help us all grow. You know what?
I'm going to mention, right? Hold on. I'm going to pull it up right now. I just forget the title. I just referenced the Wheel of Life spoke, which is a Zig Ziglar book. I think it's Born to Win. Born to Win is an amazing. Zig Ziglar is one of the greatest of all time, right? So Born to Win is a great book, and I reread it, and I got a lot of great things that I talk about, especially in these kinds of podcasts from it.
Nice. He also referenced the Franklin Covey concept.
Yes.
I put this in my book.
Yeah.
You know, I came out of college, and I thought I was a hot shot too, and I was like totally smarter than everybody else.
And that's gone away?
Not yet.
Okay.
But it will soon. No, never. But I had my boss, who I didn't really respect at the time, looked at me and said, Chris, we can all tell that you have way more going on than us. He said, but you have no discipline. You do not know how to plan your day. I recommend you read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I read it. I bought in. I did the same thing. I went Franklin Covey, just like you, until they stopped making the sheets. And I went hard. But I still, to this day, you can't see it, but I still use a notebook because I'm a writer. I have to write down what I'm doing, journaling, everything else I do.
Hey, what's your daughter's name again?
And Angelisa's Angel YSE, Mariah, like Mariah Carey. So I'm the same way. I use right now. I use the best.
Look at that.
The best self journal. That's what I use for my everyday.
Nice. And we're gonna go ahead and tag Jesse Seisler on that big book, the big calendar that he talks about, because I follow him on Instagram too. He's a great follow. Now he's way more in shape than I am. You know, I'm like you. I'm trying to get back in shape and do the whole thing, but I want to have him on the podcast, but I'd be embarrassed because I want to drink bourbon while I talk to him, and he's not going to dig that. But we're going to definitely tag your daughter, do all that stuff. All right. Number 2 question. What after Alan's done listening to her music, we'll listen to that.
It's nice.
Good. Yeah. All right, we'll put it up to the microphone. Let's get it happen, man. That's awesome, because you know what? We would do anything for our kids, and you're doing anything for your kid, and we're gonna pump that shit out there, man. We're gonna pump it up. Even look at us. We're gonna be 2 white guys making it happen for your daughter.
Just don't make me TikTok, Chris, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you TikTok that shit. No. All right, let's go. All right. The number 2 question is, what's the favorite feature of your house?
My favorite feature of my house, I have a bar.
No explanation necessary. As I'm drinking perhaps a bourbon or perhaps a water. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I imagine it's a nice bar. He's got his Jerry Rice uniform behind him.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your favorite drink in that bar?
You know what? I like whiskeys, scotch, right? I like cognacs. Right now, what am I drinking? Oh, the Balvenie.
Oh, nice. Nice pull. Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Back in the day, that was a big one. Yeah. So I'll drink everything across the bar.
That's what I'm currently drinking. And now that the weather's getting nicer in Jersey, I can smoke a cigar with it every once in a while.
Oh, nice. All right. Number 2. What's a customer service pet peeve of yours?
And this is when you're the customer.
When I'm a customer. Great question. Got to think about that one.
See, that's why I leave it in there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Alan hates it, but I love it.
Oh, come on.
He has given me shit about it.
You are such a glory whore.
I know.
You know what? I think when I'm the customer, right, it starts with a smile for me, right? When I'm dealing with someone, if the person just seems like they don't want to be there, right, or they don't want to help anyone, like it's already starting off on the wrong foot. Bingo. I really enjoy when people smile, right? And I'm able to actually when they smile, it softens me up. If it's a problem and they're smiling, and even if it's through the phone, you can hear somebody smiling through the phone. So I think that's a pet peeve of mine, because now I think the conversation goes a lot better when somebody says, hey, I'm here to help by their body language.
We have often talked about Target and Walmart and the difference between when you walk in there. In Target, people are looking for you to help. In Walmart, I literally had somebody duck me. Like literally try to run away from me. It was because I had that look like, I don't know what I need. And I looked at her and she walked away. I'm like, oh my God, why am I here? And so we've talked about this over time. And I know that's going back to your corporate days, but in small business, man, every interaction matters, and you've got to make this happen. I don't care if it's you, but the people you put in your front lines. And I have 4 people in my call center, and they're all in my company, in my office. And I say the same thing. I'm like, clear your head trash. As soon as that call comes in, smile.
Yep.
Thank you for choosing the trusted toolbox. And we didn't say thank you for calling. We say thank you for choosing. Big one, right?
Yeah.
I didn't bring that up. That wasn't my idea. Actually, a coach gave me that. But that's a good one. All right. Number 3, 4. Where am I at? I don't even know.
You're on 3. I went
my best one, and that is, give us a DIY nightmare story. I've been doing remodeling now for 15 years.
4.
It's 4. 4. 1. You know what, Alan? Who's running this thing? It's 1, B, C. That's 4.
Right. 4.
All right. Give us a DIY. I don't want to hear about a contractor screwing something up, because it's more fun when you screw something up and flood the house, burn down the house, burn your wife's eyebrows off.
Bodily injury.
Hypothetically, of course, just hypothetically, I did not do that. Okay. Again, back to the can't do the background check.
Yeah, I tried to hang the chandelier on my own. I didn't go too well.
What'd you
I-
do?
Did you drop it?
So didn't drop it, right? I didn't drop it. But I was also trying to put what do you call those? The decorative circle that goes right before, like
Medallions. We call them medallions.
exactly.
Was that too know-it-all?
No, I liked it.
That's exactly what it,
You're an expert, Chris.
So I remember putting those, and I remember trying to fit the wires through the whole. I remember doing that, and I remember breaking it. So I had to get another one from Home Depot, and that one
I
worked.
wish our listeners could see his hand motions right now because he's already.
They're up there, they're gyrating,
and I remember,
turning around.
I remember watching a YouTube channel, right? Because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna install this, and I remember doing the wiring right with the electricity, and it just didn't come out right. It was hanging too low. So at that point, I just called my father-in-law to come give me a hand because he's a contractor.
and that's what we do, because it's easier to fire your father-in-law down. If you're not watching this on YouTube and not seeing what we're doing, if you look behind me, you'll see an opening. And in that opening, I'm the one who did that opening. And I will tell you, in my opening, one of my DIY nightmare stories is I demoed everything. I dropped a board. I stepped down. I'm trying to put up 2 LVL beams by myself to support this opening. And I step right on a nail. It goes right through my foot.
Oh.
I have a million of them, bro. And look at these hands. These hands, I got all 10. But listen, all 10 have got a lot of nails through them. And those fingers are going everywhere. So if you want to know the war stories of working on your own house, give me a call. I'll give you a ton of them. But Small Business Adventure Team, listen to this. Eric is bringing the fire, bringing the heat, making it happen. Obviously, he went from one life. Now he's in his second life. Now he is definitely making it happen and providing for his kids. That's the kind of life you want to leave. That's the legacy you want to leave. Keep going up that mountaintop of success, and we will see you next time.
Cheers.